If you still haven't landed your first AI and automations agency client, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it in this video, step by step, with the same process I teach in my school community. So let's get into it. So first off, we need email accounts. Now, there's a few ways you could do this. There's MailScale. I think it's about £90, $120 for 50 email accounts. You still have to buy the domains though, and that's per month. So you pay your one off for the domains, and then per month you pay them $120. You've got Instantly, which I think is $15 per domain and $5 per email account per month. So as you can see, that will probably stack up quite a lot as well. Or something I teach in my community is my own emailing infrastructure, which I've created, and I'll show you exactly how to do that right now. So go into here, grab the blueprint, download it, go into Make, Import, choose File. Boom. Okay, so this is a whole email infrastructure which sets up your SPF, DKIM, and DMARC, so you don't have to do any of the technical work. Then we actually need the domain. So we'll go into Namecheap, sign in, go on domain name search, and just search for a domain. Now you want one that's similar to your main domain. So for example, if your business was called Namecheap, you'd call it usenamecheap.com, getnamecheap.com, name-cheap.com, namecheapai.com. Things that sound similar to your main domain, because the reason we don't send cold emails from our main domain is because one, it's not really scalable. You can't send that many emails. And two, because people are gonna probably flag you as spam. There's gonna be people out there that are gonna do it. And if you get enough people flagging your main domain for spam, that's it. Domain's dead. There's your main domain gone that you actually send your business emails from. So we set up multiple subdomains which have their own different email accounts attached to them as well to send out cold emails, because if they mark it as spam and they get blacklisted and we can't use them anymore, then it doesn't really matter. We can just buy a new domain. But with the systems I teach you, that sort of tends to not happen. So you'd buy a domain, you'd search for a domain, buy it, and you'd have a load of domains then in Namecheap. Now, something I teach is that you want to focus on volume and scalability. You don't want to do a 1,000 person. If you're trying to get your first client, you're doing 1,000 people campaigns, just forget it. You know, you're going to struggle, or 800 people, 500 people, whatever it is. You want to be doing 5 to 10K as a minimum. Okay. Now think of it this way. If you do a 10,000 person campaign, you get a 3% reply rate, which is pretty average. I think the average is really 2%. You get 3% reply rate is 300 positive or 300 replies. Now, let's say 20% of them, which is lowballing, 20% is positive replies. That's going to be 60 positive replies. Now, let's say half of them aren't really interested. The other half you actually managed to get on a call. That's 30 booked calls within a month. Now, there's going to be something seriously wrong with you. Sorry if you have had 30 calls in a month and not being able to get a client. But if you have 30 calls, you're going to continuously be learning on those calls, and you're going to close at least one client. And that's going to pay for this whole system and probably your next ultra personalized campaign that we're going to do later down the line. But okay, so you've bought your domain. It's sitting in your dashboard. You go back to the automation. You fill everything in. So for example, you'll fill in your username, your API key from Namecheap. Just so you're all aware, you need $50 in your Namecheap account for you to actually access the API key, which doesn't matter, because if you're going to be doing a 5,000 to 10,000 person campaign, you're going to want probably 10 to 15 domains anyway, which is going to cost you anywhere from $90 to $150, let's say. So you'll put $50 in or $100 in, whatever you want to put in, get the API key, 50 is the minimum, put it in here as well as your username, which is your Namecheap username. You'll fill in everything else. I'll go into SparkPost in a minute. You'll put it in here as well. One thing to also notice is the client IP. Now, if we go back into here and click into this, is the website with, well, it's make.com's website, which shows you their egress, I don't know, IPs, which is their outbound from Make. Okay, and then you want to see which zone you're in. ChatGPT can ask with this. I think ours is EU2, and you want to whitelist all of these within Namecheap. Now, the way you do that is go like this. You go into your profile, click Tools, scroll down, Manage API. I'm not going to go into it because my API key will be in there, but you'll also see whitelist IPs, and you'll want to whitelist all 3 IPs that you're going, from whichever zone you're in. You want to whitelist them all because it's going to ping from that IP. It's going to ping that IP. So it's going to make sure that it works essentially. Now, this is our email infrastructure. Okay. This is setting up the domains for perfect deliverability, right? SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. Okay. So we've got, our domains have been bought. We've put in our Namecheap API keys and everything. Now we want to set up SparkPost. If you haven't heard of SparkPost, it's an email sending platform, essentially. I'm pretty sure. Email intelligence platform, should we call it? Whatever it is. Anyway, lots of stuff in here. The new rules of email deliverability, stuff like that. It's more for marketing emails, okay? So what I mean by that is, say, you've got your Shopify store and you've got a list of customers and you want to continuously be emailing them with new product offers, etc. You'd probably use something like this. But we're actually going to use it for cold emailing. We're going to take use of their nice warmed up IPs. Now, if you are thinking of sending a lot of emails, I'd recommend going for something like this one here, which you can also get a dedicated IP in. So all Premier packages include a dedicated IP. You can automate the IP warm up, you get prioritized support and more. The reason you potentially go for a dedicated IP is because you want full control over your email deliverability. Okay. You'd have to warm it up for a bit longer, but the thing is, no one else can ruin your email sending. No one else can ruin. How can I put it? Yeah, no one else can ruin your deliverability. The thing is, with like Instantly, and things like this, which will be better than Instantly, but the issue, I suppose, with it is that you're on a shared IP. Okay, so if one person messes it up and starts spamming everyone with the same email, sends 10,000 of the same emails within a day, it's going to flag the IP, and therefore the IP is going to get blacklisted, and that ruins it for everyone. The good thing about SparkPost is that it will actually rotate the IPs. So if you're on this plan, I believe it will. If you're on maybe the hypergrowth or maybe above that, I can't quite remember. I think just the hypergrowth plan, it will rotate the IPs for you anyway, which is fine. So you're going to get this, you're going to press select, you're going to log in, depending on where you are. Now, this is really important. A couple of people in the community have struggled with this. Make sure wherever you are, if you're in Europe, if you're in the EU, you sign up to SparkPost EU. If you're in the rest of the world, or at least the US, you sign up to SparkPost. That's really important. Things won't work otherwise. Now, when you're in SparkPost, your dashboard is going to look a little bit like this. Now, what you're going to do is go into configuration, go into API keys, and you're just going to basically grab your API key. Come into here and stick your API key where it says API key. Stick your API key where it says API key, and the same over here for SparkPost. Make sure you're sticking your API key in there. Don't need to touch anything else. Now, as long as you're doing it on the same day that you bought the domains, this is going to run perfectly. If you have bought the domains and then you end up setting this up 2-3 days later, you're going to want to change this to date time operators earlier than or equal to. You're going to want to change it to that. But if you do it on the same day, essentially what you're going to do is press run. And say you've just bought 10 domains, it's going to automatically set up the SPF, DKIM, and DMARC for all those domains. One thing you will notice is there's nothing here after Rua. Okay. By the way, you don't just need to be in my community to get this automation. I've talked about this solely on my channel before. I'll put the link in the description. I'm pretty sure the the blueprint for this is in there, so you can go and grab it. But essentially what you're going to want to do is put root equals, and then just put your main domain, essentially. It can get quite annoying if you have a lot of domains, because all your DMARC reports are going to get sent to your main domain, but you can just set up an automation that watches for that and puts them into its own separate folder or something, just cleans or if you're familiar with NA10, you can create some sort of AI agent that sorts your inbox out, gets rid of them, so you've got a nice clean inbox. I thought it also created but I might have taken it out, but it might be in the one that you guys are going to get from the YouTube video, it's a DKIM value which just says input value, and you might go into your advanced DNS settings in Namecheap and you'll see there's just a TXT record that says input value. That's because, well, I'll get onto it in a moment, we're going to go to MXroute. So SparkPost is for sending, okay, and then we're going to use MXroute for incoming emails. We don't send from MXroute, we send from SparkPost. The incoming emails, that the platform that allows us to actually set up as many emails. And basically, for some reason, when you end up adding all these into instantly, it says DKIM value not found. That's simply not true. You can ignore it, or if you have green tick syndrome like I do, you can basically just put the DKIM value from MXroute into where it says input value in Namecheap DNS settings. I'll show you all that right now. So you're going to want to go to MXroute. So they're an email hosting platform, similar to like FastHost, I think. Or is it FastHost or UK Fast or something like that? Just sort of webmail sort of platform, right? Now they've got a lifetime promo here, so you don't have to pay for it every year, but you can pay $200 and get it for lifetime, or I believe it is just $49 a year and you get unlimited domains and unlimited email accounts, which sounds pretty good. Now, if you are new to cold emailing, which is obviously, if you haven't realized already, the main way we're going to be acquiring clients, you can only really set up for cold emailing 3 to 5 email accounts per domain. That's the safe sort of threshold that that us cold emailers do. Any more than that, you're sending too many emails out and you're probably going to get flagged a load of spam a load and stuff like that. It used to just be 3. Now people have figured out that you can probably go up to 5 safely. So you're just going to press get started. Just put your normal email address in there, either your personal or your work email, it doesn't matter. We don't offer free trials. You've got to say that, accept that, and agree that unsolicited marketing email is spam. Obviously, that doesn't apply to you, because please remember, you're not going to be sending emails out from MXroute. We're literally just using them to create the inboxes. Every single reply and receive of a reply is going to be done within the Instantly Unibox. So there we go. So you set that up. I'll show you what that looks like. This is what your dashboard looks like. You go into Account Manager, Domain Setup, click Add New, and you'd add a new domain. And then you'd go to the top right here, you click whichever domain you've just set up, go into the email manager, go into email accounts and press create account. You'd create a username. So first name dot last name, or just first name, or b.yule, something like that. You'd randomize a password, click create account, and it would come up and it would have, we can just do it to be fair, John Cena. Randomize the password, create the account, and you can see it comes up with the username, password, and the IMAP, which actually we don't need. We just need the username and password. Then we'll go back into here and we'll download the template. So you open that up and this is what I've put in here. So you'll then grab the username, put it in there. The first name was John. The last name was Cena. The IMAP username is the same as the email, and then the IMAP password, you just copy that and you stick it in there. And you'll just keep doing that. You'll keep setting up 3 to 5 email accounts per domain. You'll also put in the SMTP password, which is going to be your SparkPost API key. You'll put that in there, and you'll just keep filling them up all the way down until you get to 50. If you want to send 10,000 emails a month, which you should be doing and you will be doing if you follow my advice, you're going to want at least 50 email accounts. So obviously a bit of manual work might take you about half an hour, but it's still exciting because you're realizing you've just got a hell of a load of email accounts for incredibly cheap. You don't have to pay anyone monthly. You pay $49 a year, which is like $2 a month. It's not, but it's $4 a month, something like that. And you're all excited, you're ready to go, and you just keep sticking them in and going like that. So now we've bought the domains from within what? I don't know how long I've been recording here. It doesn't even say, but within a few minutes, let's say, I've went and gone and bought domains from Namecheap. I've set up the SPF DKIM DMARC. I've then also set up MXroute for set up all the email accounts, and then for another half an hour, so an hour overall, I've stuck in them into a spreadsheet, ready to then go into Instantly. So what we do, we go into Instantly, you go into email accounts, you go into add new, you go into IMAP SMTP, bulk import from CSV. Obviously, you're going to save the file as a CSV, and you're just going to bulk import them in, and you'll see a load of green ticks and everything will be fine. And there you go, you've got your emails in there. I've already pre-configured the template so that it's warming up correctly. So it's going to send a maximum of 50 warm-up emails, but it's going to increment by 3. So it's going to start off with 3 emails on the first day, then 6, then 9, then 12, so on and so forth. And really, you want to be warming them up for about 3 weeks. That's the sweet spot in my experience. You can do it for 2. A lot of people say 2, but really just do it for 3. So yeah, whilst these emails are warming up, what's next? Well, obviously we need leads. That's one thing. So we've got 2 options really. We can either scrape Apollo leads, which is quite cheap. So if you were on a budget, I'd probably recommend you'd scrape Apollo leads. Yes, the thing is with Apollo, it's very saturated. A lot of people the people that you're going to be emailing are going to be getting 30 different of the same emails. So really it's a right time, right place sort of thing. Or it's standing out in the inbox. If you do have a bit more money, you wouldn't even be using Apollo, you'd be using LinkedIn, and you'd be sending hyper-personalized emails. But this is for the people that maybe don't have much of a budget. You've just come out of uni, or you're in uni, or you're still in school, or you got your family to look after, whatever it is. You haven't got a big budget, or at least, say £500, so $700 or so, or probably not even that much, $300 to send highly personalized emails and do all that do all that stuff. You'd probably send out a generic campaign. The thing is, who do you want to be sending the generic campaign out to? Do you want to send it to Instantly leads, or do you want to send it to Apollo leads or LinkedIn leads? Now, the thing is, Apollo leads, like I mentioned before, are going to have 30 of the same emails in their inbox that day. So it's going to be a right time, right thing. And if they do reply, it means they're looking at the right time, or you've landed in the inbox at the right time and they are looking. They've probably already spoken, looked at people. You're going to have to really sell yourself and sell the system that you're selling, which I've just realized you don't even know what system you're selling. So the way I sort of teach people to do it is lead generation. Everyone needs lead gen, right? Every business needs it. So I tell my students to just concentrate on lead gen. We're going to outreach to people, offering them, saying we have an AI system for agencies or businesses that will generate them stupid amounts of money in a very short amount of time. It's great because it really does work. It's incredible. It saves a lot of time. It's something you can pick up really quickly and learn how to sell. So that's what we're going to be outreaching with. Now, who do you want to outreach to? On Apollo, you'd obviously do a search and you'd say, okay, I want to outreach to, say, marketing agencies or financial companies, whoever it is. You do your search for that, try get to around 15 to 20,000 people. use Apify to scrape it. I'll show you how that looks. So you go over to apify.com, you go into the store, you search for Apollo, and this is the first one that pops up. It's got 4-star reviews from 65 people, 5.2 thousand people use it, and you can get 1,000 leads for $1.20, which is pretty good. And you do the search, you put the search URL in there, you'd do the latest build. You wouldn't want a maximum limit because you've done like a 15k search, so you want to get all those people. You don't really want their personal emails, that's a bit too much. And you just put the search URL in there, press save and start, and essentially at the end of that it will give you a CSV or a spreadsheet, whatever you want, of all these leads. So there you go, you've got all these leads, all their emails. All you really need to then start sending emails out. But the problem is with emailing is you need to verify those leads, okay? They might not all be perfect. So what you could do, you could actually just add them into a campaign. You could go campaigns, add new. You could call it marketing campaign, continue, or marketing campaign. You press add leads, you'd upload by CSV, and you'd upload them all. And then it would also give you a opportunity to verify the leads. And what you'd do there is go into settings, verification, make sure you had some credits, and it would also verify the leads as you're adding them in, which is pretty cool. So there you go, you've got all your leads. Hopefully by the end of it, 10,000 are in there. Happy days. It's only cost you what, $1.20 per 1,000 leads. So let's say you've just scraped 20,000. That is $20.40 for 20,000 leads. So happy days. You've added them into instantly, you've verified them, you're probably going to get 15,000 credits, which is $52.79. Okay, and then we're going to need to obviously send out these emails. So what copy are we going to be using? Because in our campaign, we've got now, say, 10,000 leads in here, but we haven't got anything to say to them. Now, a lot of people will tell you to do hyper-personalized emailing, including me, which is a very popular automation that I sell. It's literally the main automation that I sell. I do a lot of different stuff, but I always reach out with the hyper-personalized automation system. One, because it is really good for people's email deliverability. Every email is different, meaning it is a lot easier for them to land in the inbox. It saves them a lot of time because I actually do everything we've just done automated. It will scrape. All they have to do is put something into an app and it will find the leads, scrape the leads, find their emails, verify their emails, personalize it, do all that completely autonomously. All they've done is input something into an app. 10 minutes later, they've got a load of personalized emails in there instantly, ready to send out. And they just do a few variables like so, personalization, and it would do an icebreaker, it would do the value hook, the social proof, the call to action, the PS. Everything is completely just, it's a variable that they'll just put in here like that, and that's how the email will look. And it's great for deliverability, as I've just mentioned, because every email is different. It stands out a lot, so it gets quite a high response rate, or a lot higher response rate as it would. It's still very structured because it's exactly how the client wants, but it costs a bit of money. It might cost a couple $100 per 10,000 leads, maybe a little bit more, because there's a hell of a lot of AI steps that go into it in terms of the researching and the writing of the emails. So for this, if you haven't got much money, I wouldn't do that. Obviously you'd reach out selling that system, but for now you're just scraping the leads using Apify, adding them in here. Now, next thing. In the cold email playbook, you're going to go to generic campaigns and download the generic email copy. There's the subject line, happy days. Now, this is, by the way, backed by 10 years of research. I haven't come up with this myself because otherwise I would have been cold emailing since I was 16, which I haven't. I got this from a very well-known agency who have written this for me. I've also worked with, in my community, I have a cold email expert who has he's probably over 60 clients now. He's sending out tens of thousands of cold emails on behalf of those clients, knows what industries are working. He's given us all insights and tips on what works in terms of email deliverability and cold email, and what industries are booming right now, what's getting highest response rates, stuff like that. So me and him have sat down, we've tweaked this, and we've come up with it to help out the community. If they haven't got much money, this is what they'll do. So this here, obviously, don't get too blown away by it. It's called Spintax, if you haven't heard of it before. It essentially uses one variation of the word. So hey, hi, hey there, or hi there. It will use one of them, and basically that's a bit better for deliverability, because like I say, if you're sending out the same email over and over again, you're going to get flagged as spam, especially if you're doing it to 10,000 people a month. So we don't want this. So to mitigate that, ideally, we'd do a hyper-personalized campaign. If we can't do that because of budget constraints, we'd go in with Spintax. So obviously it looks a bit daunting right now, but if I was to copy that and just stick it into Instantly and press preview, obviously there's no first name here, because let's just say John. Query John. Hey there, John. I want you to run this by you. I have an AI for agencies that generates 10 to 20 high-ticket meetings every month and can also handle inbound calls. Do you mind if I share more info? Best, Amelia. If you're not interested, let me know and I won't follow up. Now, I know a lot of you will be sat there thinking, what a load of crap. There is no way that's doing well. I sent this to 3,500 Apollo leads and I've got a 3% reply rate. Pretty standard. But if you're sending it to 10,000 people and getting a 3% reply rate on Apollo leads as well, which aren't the highest quality, I'll go into higher quality in a moment, don't worry, which aren't, extreme quality. But if I was sending this and getting a 3% response rate on 10,000 emails, this is how I actually scaled my agency to start with. And I definitely recommend you do the same. I, in fact, say to my students to do sort of similar as well. Just send out, for your first campaign, just send out something a bit generic like this and just get that money through the door. Easy as. So obviously it doesn't stop there. We've got 1B, 1C, we've got the follow-ups, and we've got the final message as well. And you literally just keep copy and paste them into different variants like so. So you'd go to add variant, you'd copy it in, you'd do the same subject line, so on and so forth. There's one more variant, and then you do step 2, and then you do the final step 3. Now in the schedule, I'm in the UK, so I'd put London, but that's fine with me. I might do 5:30 instead. Start that schedule. You'd use the accounts that you want to use. I keep that the same. Definitely don't use open rate tracking because that puts a pixel in the email. It's not visible to the user, but it's obviously visible to spam filters. They think it's just a link, an unsolicited link being sent in an email. You're more likely to get flagged as spam and land in the spam or promotions tab. Then you want to send email as text only, and you want to send the first email as text only. The daily limit depends on obviously how many email accounts you're sending with. If you're sending 10, if you've got 50 email accounts, sending 30 emails a day, if you let me do the maths off the top of my head, which I definitely just haven't used a calculator for, that's 1,500 emails a day. So you want to put that as the daily limit. It doesn't really matter. Time gap between emails, very important. It says obviously there 7 minutes, but what you want to do again is find out how many email accounts are sending how many emails, and change it to that for that window. If that from 9 till 5:30, how many minutes are in between 9 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. and also how many email accounts, and it's normally about 20 or 24, something like that, 20 minutes of time gap between emails. You can just ask ChatGPT to do the maths for you if you're thick as pig shit like me and you haven't got a clue. I'm joking, I'm not thick, but I'm no good with maths. Random additional minutes, just do 3 or 4, something like that. So it's not a set time every single time, right? Prioritize new leads. I mean, you're not really going to be adding new leads in there. You've got 10,000 in there to send, so it's not a massive issue. You can probably choose the winning metric as reply rate. You don't really need to do that because we're using SparkPost and MXroute. We're not using Google or Microsoft. You want to put all send all here, and then because Microsoft are being twats at the moment, you want to put all do not send to Microsoft, and it's basically, I think, not going to send any emails to Microsoft, and you can just take that off at the end and just blast out the Microsoft emails. But to start with, you want to be making sure, because Microsoft have a higher likelihood of putting you in the spam folder. I have been checking. What I do is when an email comes in, I'll copy and paste their email into the campaign, because it will show me the ESP that the person is sending it from. And if it's Microsoft, then I know I'm landing in the Microsoft inbox, which makes me really happy. But most of the time it would be Google or Zoho or other and stuff, because they're pretty easy to land into the inbox with. But yeah, once you've sent them all out, Google and all them, just take this off and blast out to Microsoft, because if you're sending them out a bit earlier and they're landing in spam, they're more likely to start sending more of your emails into spam as the campaign goes on. I never really know. That's up to you really for that. I've had more than one lead from a company in a campaign and emailed them, and they've both emailed saying yes, they've both emailed saying no, they've both emailed saying contradicting information. So that's completely up to you. I think I normally just leave it blank. No, don't stop on auto reply. So for example, an out of office reply, you don't really want to stop on that. Don't insert an unsubscribe link header. Because again, it's a link. Leave that, press save and launch it, and you're ready to go with your Apollo leads. Just sit and wait for the responses to come in. Now, if you want to get a higher response rate and higher quality leads, you'd probably want to be looking at LinkedIn. So this is LinkedIn with a nice AI generated photo. That's really cool. And you're going to want to get Sales Nav. Now, they constantly have offers on, which is really cool. So if you haven't used it before, you can get a month's free. If you have, you can always just get, look at that, $47.50 a month for the first 2 months is pretty good. So, you can just redeem the offer and start doing a search on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Now, you've done the search. How do you actually export these people into a Google Sheets or whatever to start verifying the emails, or at least finding the emails? Now, this is where things get a little bit more expensive than they do with Apollo, but again, they are higher quality. They're less likely to flag you as spam, because you can imagine the people on Apollo who are just getting constant emails are probably just going spam, 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 spam. LinkedIn, there's a lot less of a crowded inbox, meaning you're more likely to stand out, meaning you're more likely to get a higher response rate, meaning you're also less likely to get flagged as spam by these people. Or the latter, actually ignore that, because you could also have the counter argument that there's not many people in the inbox, meaning you're sending them a cold email, they're not used to it, they're just going to flag it as spam. So there's counter arguments. But essentially, the reason you get a higher response rate with LinkedIn leads is because there's less people in the inbox. Now, you want to get linked to Sales Navigator and you want to start doing some searches. Obviously, you can see that I don't have it because I have already scraped about 100,000 leads from here. But yeah, once you start doing searches, one thing to keep in mind is that there's 100 leads. There's 20 per search. You can only have, no matter if it says there's a 14K search, LinkedIn will only show you 100 pages of 25 leads. So that's 2,500. So you're going to want to use split functions. I have got a video on this. I will put it in the description for you to see, but you're going to want to use split functions to split that search into narrower searches. So 2,000, 1,000, 2,500, stuff like that. So you can actually take the URL, put it into a Google Sheets and carry on with the search. So then you'll have a Google Sheets with a bunch of URLs, search URLs. What then do you do? So you might have heard me talk about Phantom Buster. This is a tool which allows you to scrape LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You can do a hell of a bunch of stuff too, which I've talked about on the channel. But essentially, you're just going to do a Sales Navigator search export. You're going to sign in. You can get a 14-day free trial, which is pretty easy. After 72 hours, if you don't actually verify your email, it will kick you out and you can just sign up again for free, which is pretty cool. Or you can pay for it. I think it's about 69 euros, so about 60 quid. I don't know what that is in dollars. If it's 60 quid, it'll probably be like $75, something like that. So not the cheapest, but you can do it for free, right? I have got videos showing you exactly how you can do it for free, but essentially you'd set up an automation which goes a little bit like this. Again, you'd come in here, you'd press the blueprint, you'd download the blueprint. Then you'd go into here and you'd import the blueprint, you'd choose a file, and it's this one. You press save, and there you have the scraper. So essentially what you're going to do, actually, just to make sure you're all aware, is you're going to have one more scenario where you'll add a module, you'll do the Phantom Buster module, you'll press launch a Phantom, and you'd set it up with your API key that you get from Phantom Buster. All you have to do then is input the scraper that you're doing. So it will say Sales Navigator search export. You'll click that one and you'll have it to on here. Say if this was it, you'd have this to oh look, cool. You put the Phantom ID in, which you don't need to map. You'll just click it, yeah, and it will come up and you'll be able to press the Phantom ID and you'll launch it. See, I can't do it at the moment, but essentially you'll have that launch every 6 hours. So it will scrape every 6 hours completely autonomously while you sleep. If you have the paid option, it can obviously just scrape continuously forever. If you're on the free version, you only get 2 hours execution time. So I think it takes about 10 minutes per scrape. So you can still get quite a lot of scraping done. The only issue is that it's not going to remove duplicates. You're going to have to do it afterwards, but just to let you know, you can do it completely for free. Again, I'll put the link to the video that I've already done. I'll probably do it again at some point as well. This is just a rundown from start to finish. It's not really going into depth. Obviously, I have done chunks of this before going into depth. But yeah, so that's what you're going to do. Is you're going to have another scenario running the Phantom, scraping the leads. Every time it finishes, it's going to send to this webhook. The way you do that is within Sales Navigator, you go to integrations. You go into the scraper and you go into advanced settings on the scraper, and you go onto webhooks and you just input the webhook URL. That way, every time it's finished, immediately, as soon as data arrives, as soon as it's finished, the Phantom is finished, data will get sent to here where it will pass, it will download the file, it will add them all to Google Sheets within one operation. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 operations. So 6 times a day, 7, 14, 21, 28. Sorry, it's 4 times a day every 6 hours. So 28 operations a day. And if it's finished, so basically if the updated rows is less than 500, because it's going to be updating 500 rows at a time to do 2,000 leads. But if you were going to do 2,500, again, sorry, this is something I should also make clear, is with LinkedIn, they hate automation. So make sure you're warming up your scraping account. So for example, for the first day, only scrape maybe for the first few days, scrape 500 leads, and then just keep building it up until you are actually doing 2,500 leads a day, which is the maximum you can do anyway. But you'd then actually, if you're doing 2,500, you change this to 625. So if it's updated less than 625 rows, it's a clear indicator that it's actually finished the scrape, meaning you'll get if you have an iPhone, you'll just get a notification to your iPhone. So we've gone on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which we've got for free on a free trial, or we've got it for half price. We've done our searches. We're now scraping our searches whilst our emails are warming up. So we're getting all our leads together, our LinkedIn leads together, our emails are warming up. And then we can either use that spreadsheet to personalize them, but again, it's going to cost a bit of money, Or again, we just go into instantly and we just put the sequences in that I've told you, and we send them out 10,000 emails, again, with a 3% response rate, which is the minimum you're going to get, is 300 replies. If you can just get even 25%, if you can get 25% of those positive replies on a call, which is, what's that? What did I say? 300, 25% of that is like, I don't know. Of course, it's 75. So you'll get 75, what? Yeah, 75 positive. What am I on about? Okay. So you get a 3% response rate and 10,000 is 300 replies. If 25% get on a call, yeah, that's 75. No, sorry. Oh, I'll tell you what it is. 300 reply, you should get at least a 20% positive reply rate, at least. This is extreme lowballing now, right? So that's 60. Then if 25% of 60 is 15, yeah, it's 15 leads on a call, one every 2 days throughout the month, pretty much. And then let's say 10% close rate is 1.5 clients. But again, that's extreme lowballing. You will do a lot better than that. But even just one client, I'm sure a lot of you will be happy with. I spoke to a guy in the community who he's been part of another community for almost a year now and hasn't been able to get his first client. And I was baffled. I was absolutely baffled. So I sat him down. We had we've came out with a game plan. He's absolutely pumped by it. He told me he's really excited. He feels like he's now actually got some direction, which I couldn't be happier about. It's just about, executing, getting on the calls, practicing, learning, and selling and getting it over the line. So what are we actually selling? I know a lot of you will be asking. So here it is, scenario 1, scenario 2, scenario 3. So essentially, if we download them all, let's come up over there, go into here, just delete all that quickly. Import, choose file, this one, save. Right, all this is doing is taking data from an application that we've built. So if I just show you quickly, say they put in all they get is this side here, right? And they'll put in a LinkedIn or an Apollo search URL, the campaign ID, which they want it to go into, the workspace they want it to go into, and the industry, just in case they're Apollo leads and we need to just double check that the industry is actually correct. They'll input that in there and press start automation. Obviously it's saying, please fill it in. And then all the data gets sent to here immediately. We'll just store a bit of the data so we can use it in another scenario, and we'll run the task. So we'll run the Appify task to either scrape LinkedIn or scrape Apollo. Okay, so that's number 1. So the lead scraping starts just from them doing an input into the app. Then after that happens, we then have a webhook here for waiting for when the task run has finished. Now, the reason it's a task and not an actor, if you are familiar with Appify, you have actors and you have tasks, it's because it times out with if you do it through an API call with an actor. So we create a task, we save the task, and we run the task. And then it will use a webhook to watch when that task run finishes. We'll make sure we get the record. We do that here so it only uses one operation, because if you did it here and you scrape 20,000 leads, that's 20,000 unnecessary operations. This obviously can be built in N8N, but the thing is, when it comes to actually hyper-personalizing the emails, it's a lot quicker in make.com, and it's only a couple £100 more. I say only, but for a client who's got a load of money in the bank account and they want things done really quickly, this is really better for them, if I'm honest. It's better. Plus, a lot of the clients, you might actually realize, enjoy playing around with make.com. So they want to see, haven't really played around with NA10 because they're not too technically minded. They've played around with make.com and they actually want to see the back end. A lot of them do. A lot of them also don't, which is why we have that user interface that I showed you earlier. And it gets all the items that have just been scraped, and then we send them to a webhook. Now, how does that webhook look? Also, once it's all done, we add it to a Google Sheet, so they're also aware of all the leads that they've just scraped, so they can maybe use them later on, whatever they want to do, the ones who didn't reply. All in one operation as well, I might just say. Now, last but not least is the absolute source, which is this one here. You go into here, you copy, import, choose file, scenario 3, and this one will get all the data that we've just sent from it from the HTT. It was named avoid timeout for some reason. It will just boom, 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 keep sending, and one by one, sequentially, these will be getting processed. So it will get verified. You can obviously change this for whatever one the client wants. If it's instantly, mail verifier, million verifier, I don't know which ones, mail.so, I don't know which ones there are. We're then going to research the prospect, make sure that the industry is correct. Normally, you'd probably actually do this as a branch, just in case they are doing LinkedIn leads, but obviously people in my community do know that. And they'll either be, if it's Apollo leads, they'll be doing an industry check just to make sure it's right. And if it is the right industry, then it'll carry on to creating the icebreaker using Anthropic. We'll pass it, and then we'll add it into instantly. And they'll just keep keep getting added in. So it's only about 10 to 20 minutes after they've actually put something into the app that they're getting something tangible within instantly, ready to send out. And that's the beauty of the hyper personalized system. It bypasses spam filters. It increases the response rates. It gets you more clients. It's an incredible system. It's fairly easy to build. Obviously you got all the prompts and everything. It gets added to instantly. It's really user friendly. It's not overly expensive. And there you go. I don't know if I've missed anything. I literally have just done this from back to front. I wanted to go back to my roots, what I started this channel actually talking about. I know this will help a lot of people out there, whether a lot of people see it or not, probably not. I need your guys' help for people to actually see it. But the thing is, right, it's not difficult. People overthink it. I saw someone on YouTube talking the other day about they build an automation and then they sell it. And this guy, it was Nick Sarayev, I'm sure a lot of you know about him. Someone actually put his video in the community for everyone to have a look at, saying how helpful it was. So thank you, Nick, for that. I know you're not watching, but thank you. And he's absolutely right. But I didn't realize people did this. People build automations and then go and sell it. That's not the way to do it. Sales first, pipeline generation first. And then you can figure it out. Someone actually commented on my YouTube a couple months ago saying, I normally just say yes to everything and then figure it out. And sorry, camera died there. But what I was saying was someone, he said he normally just says yes to everything and figures it out later. And you know what? I rate that. That's fine. Say yes and then build it and then figure it out. You'll be able to figure it out. I'm telling you that now. And it's a lot better, obviously, if you have the automation to sell. They almost always need tweaking. That's something you need to keep in mind. They'll need tweaking. It will need bespoking. It will need tailoring. But by now, you guys have probably played around with Make.com and NA10 and automation platforms enough to understand how to do that. So look, if this was helpful, I know I probably ran through it too quick. A lot of you probably didn't even understand the word I was saying. But I have broken this down a lot better in chunks on my channel before. I will be doing that in the future again, because like I said, my plan now is to sort of go back to my roots and talk about everything that I feel like I'm very specialized in. And also I've now got the opportunity to help a lot of people, and I'd like to show their wins and stuff along the way. So if you like this video, if you feel like it's helped you, drop it a like. Let's get me to the top of the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe if you're new. I'm going to be dropping a load of stuff like this, and drop me a comment. Just let me know if it helped. But thank you very much. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.